moving over to the New York City scene, because I still am in the New York City scene, because I still am at this point a New York City teacher, although I did receive my denial for my religious exemption. It's my third denial. So when I initially applied, I got denied. I appealed the decision. I got to have a hearing with an arbitrator. I got denied again. And then as a result of the New York City Department of Education admitting in court that their policy was discriminatory, the process to apply to get your religious exemption was discriminatory, they had to have a citywide panel of another person or another panel of people go through your religious exemption, and who knows what their formula was. But they didn't deny me on the basis that they didn't believe my beliefs were sincere. They denied me on the basis that they could not accommodate me. So, I don't exactly know what the future holds for me personally. However, I'm hopeful that this case, the one that I was referring to that got New York City to admit that their policy was discriminatory, and just off the bat, I know so many teachers who didn't apply because they were like, well, I don't have a clergy. Like, I personally, I didn't have a clergy to write me a letter either. I just wrote it anyways, but people felt discriminated against off the bat, so they didn't even apply. People got denied and they're like, well, there's no point in appealing. So they didn't appeal. And the court has not granted them any type of relief to reapply or anything like that. So there's so much more action to come. And we are going to get a panel in front of SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, to look over our challenge to New York City's vaccine mandate. And what do you know? That's your girl right here. This picture is pretty popular. This was actually from one of our first rallies back in August. I believe it was like August 25th, 2021. And I had the sign, Teachers for Choice. That's our organization. Michael Caine, he heads it up. And the whole thing is we don't want any mandates, no vaccine mandates, no mask mandates, no testing mandates. And at that time, I hadn't yet quit the UFT. If you look at my sign now, it has this crossed out. But I think because my sign summarized so well what the issue was, just everybody uses that picture. So, but this is happening. It's not happening as soon as we would like it to happen, but it's going to be happening. And so this is from the New York Post article. It says the U.S. Supreme Court announced that it will review legal challenge to New York City's vaccine mandate from a group of public school teachers less than a week after Justice Sonia Sotomayor rejected the appeal. And so it's two cases and they're paired together. There's the Teachers for Choice case, Michael Caine, which I refer to. And then there's another group of educators that came together kind of after Michael Caine already had his lawsuit going and kind of piggybacked off it, tried to, fill in some of the gaps that might have been missed the initial time around and get another really good team of lawyers on there. So we have these two cases working together, and Sotomayor rejected us last week, did not call upon any other judges, did not write any sort of opinion. And so that gave us the opportunity to go to another judge and say, hey, please look over our case. And so the appeal was filed last week by 15 Department of Education workers who alleged the city was violating their religious freedom by not accepting their vaccine exemption petitions. And so 15 people are named, but really these cases represent thousands of teachers who have been denied their religious freedoms, their religious rights, as we see vaccine mandates falling all around us. So the teachers had previously requested that Sotomayor, who has jurisdiction over lower courts in New York, consider their emergency request, and the liberal justice denied the request without referring the matter to the full court. So this had happened initially way back in the fall in October, when it was initially happening. We're like, hey, please, please, please help, stop us from getting fired. While the case is going through the courts, just put it on pause. While it's going through the courts, let us keep our job. She denied us straight out the same way. However, we didn't go to any other justice at that time because it seems like the reason we got denied is because they want to see more litigation in the courts. We've seen this happen actually several times. I believe there was an Arizona State University case with vaccine mandates that Amy Coney Barrett denied a fuller hearing. There was another one up in Maine by another justice. And I think basically what they said is like, there's not enough litigation in the lower courts. And so we want them to go through the lower courts more, and then you can come up here again. And so we've been in the lower courts now for what, 6 months? since October, since before that, really, because we had a case that came out before the mandates went in place. So we've been in the courts. We've gone up and down, Second Circuit, back down to the lower courts, to the Second Circuit, back, and we have a lot of litigation. And it is time for this to be heard before the highest court in the land. And I'm hopeful that something will come of it. I mean, it sucks right now. Like I said, I'm about to be fired next week, and it doesn't feel good. I'm going to lose my health insurance along with hundreds, if not more than that, teachers. And when we talk about health and safety in the middle of a pandemic, if you want to claim, or if you have some health and safety reason to continue on these mandates, is it really a good idea to be taking away people's health insurance, not just for them, but potentially for their families? I don't know. Doesn't sound too health or safe.